So Stephen Colbert is done. I guess this is his last show tonight, and USA Today is happy about it. I'm very surprised they ran this op-ed piece. Opinion: the Late Show finally goes dark years after Stephen Colbert drove away those who don't see the world the way he sees it. I'm glad to see him go. And if you go out to Google and you look for their stories, they actually have a couple of different stories. But this one says Stephen Colbert's late night tantrum finally goes dark. But it's next to a farewell to late show's Stephen Colbert, TV's gallant comic avenger. So they've got dueling opinions here. But yeah, he's a very polarizing figure. He wasn't as polarizing 10, 15 years ago. Most people, I think, liked Stephen Colbert back then, but he has become insufferable, in my opinion, as of late. He lost me, especially during the pandemic with the whole vaccine dance and all that cringe. But he'll be fine, guys. He's going to wind up on, Netflix or podcasts or something. Somebody will pay him massive amounts of money to keep doing what he's been doing on CBS. And he might actually come out ahead. I'm going to be real. But I think it's funny that USA Today is like, don't let the door hit you on the way out. So let's talk about this before we get into it any further. Please subscribe for more pop culture news, views, and rants. Guys, this is Kneon. This is Clownfish TV. And if you're looking for more of us, if you'd like to support the channel, go out to more.clownfishtv.com. We do not do super chats. We do not do memberships on YouTube. If you want to support us, go out to the website. That's the way to do it. And thank you so much for that. Stephen Colbert doesn't have to beg for memberships. He gets lots of money. So USA Today opinion: the Late Show goes dark years after Stephen Colbert drove away those who don't see the world the way he sees it. I'm glad to see him go. All right, I got to read this. This is my first reaction to this. All right, Stephen Colbert's approach to late night comedy was to offer snarky solace to his fellow progressives. The smug host of The Late Show is a classic example of why echo chambers are doomed to fail, says Tim Swarren's opinion contributors. That's not speaking for the entirety of USA Today. But we have clickbait like this too. Most oppose Trump's war, does MAGA. Trump let me down. I don't regret my vote. Man, what is going on with USA Today? All right, let's talk about Stephen Colbert, though. Stephen Colbert, the smug host of CBS's Late Show, is a classic example of why echo chambers are doomed to fail. Colbert's approach to late-night comedy was to offer snarky solace to his fellow progressives while hurling nightly insults at the tens of millions of Americans who don't agree with his far-left politics. Not surprisingly, that business model, designed to regularly tick off the 46% of Americans who identify as Republicans, eventually failed. Liberals have been in high dudgeon for months after CBS announced that it planned to cancel Colbert's testament to self-indulgence. But the comedian has only himself and the sycophants who surround him to blame. Ow! Man, I can't believe this is coming from USA Today. It's amazing how things change. Colbert was a losing investment for CBS. Yeah, it's about the money, guys. And I'm not even a Republican, but it was about the money. He did piss off Trump on the regular, yes, but you can get away with that as long as you're bringing it financially. And he was not bringing it financially. In 2025, Colbert drew an average audience of only 2.5 million, a small fraction compared to the hundreds of millions of Americans who have far better things to do than listen to the predictable jokes of a hyper-partisan entertainer. In announcing the show's cancellation, CBS executives said the network lost $40 million a year on his show. $40 million a year. That's what got him fired, guys. It's the politics were just kind of the cherry on the feces flavored sundae. What got him fired was he cost them $40 million a year. Forbes reported that the host's salary alone cost $15 million a year. The numbers no longer made sense for a publicly traded company that has to answer to shareholders. Yeah, you can only subsidize news and entertainment for so long. And Hollywood is learning this the hard way right now. They're learning that you can only subsidize certain movies or TV shows for so long. Eventually they have to pay for themselves. And what happens is a lot of times these companies, activist types, they subsidize entertainment that they would like to see, and they're hoping it will take off. eventually, and it usually doesn't. And more often than not, they have to like write the thing off or just pretend it didn't exist because it pissed people off. I'm just saying. It's tough business these days. In the best of circumstances, TV networks, like most entertainment and news media, have been shedding viewers for decades. Colbert's late show predecessor, David Letterman, pulled in an average audience of 7.8 million viewers per episode his first year as host in 1993. By comparison, okay, this is interesting. By comparison, the current top-rated late-night talk show is Fox News' Gutfeld. I did not know that. Gutfeld's the top show. I didn't even watch Gutfeld. I'm vaguely aware of him, but apparently he's the top-rated talk show, and it's on Fox News. 3.3 million viewers per episode, and that's like less than half of what David Letterman was pulling in. Letterman was huge. Conan O'Brien was huge. Like back when I was in school, like all the kids, well, I'm talking kids, I'm talking like, you know, older kids, middle school, high school kids, but they would talk about Conan O'Brien. They would talk about David Letterman because we had pop culture and that's what people watched. Arsenio Hall. God, I miss Arsenio. Arsenio was so good. People talk about that. And we don't talk about late night show hosts anymore because they're completely irrelevant. Except for your mom and dad watching Gutfeld, I guess. Nobody expected Colbert to come close to legendary Tonight Show host Johnny Carson numbers, 9 million in his prime, or even Letterman's, but Colbert specialized in antagonizing Americans to the right of the House Progressive Caucus. And that, spite the right attitude, eventually cost him his job. Yeah, he would be better suited to MSN. I mean, I'm being real here. As he approached his final show, Colbert claimed he's more conservative in real life than he appears on TV. It's the best joke he's told in years. I even laughed at that one. I don't know who the real Stephen Colbert is. I'm going to be honest, because he was like playing a conservative for a while. That was like his bit, was he was like Sam Eagle. He was like playing a conservative. And now is he trying to say, oh, I'm playing a progressive. I'm basically Rachel Maddow, you know? I don't know. Conservatives will be glad to see him go off air. Here's the thing. I don't care about Colbert's political opinions. He's entitled to believe whatever he wants to believe. If he thinks a Democratic socialist mayor of New York will improve the quality of life in the city, that's his right. Yeah, Mamdani. Yeah. Oh, things are working out great for Mamdani. They really are. I was reading about the parade and all that controversy. Yeah, it's so great. So great. It's delusional, but progressives have a right to their delusions. It wasn't Colbert's ideology that sank him. His arrogance did. Yes. Even as viewers turned away, he continued to batter the same old straw man with jokes that bored more people than they entertained. How many people are actually, here's the thing, with late night TV and network TV in general, how many people are actually actively watching, or is it background noise? I think for a lot of people, it's background noise. I think they just turn the TV on. It's a force of habit. They fall asleep to it. They listen to it when they're making dinner or whatever. They're not really choosing. I mean, that's the difference, I guess, with streaming or YouTube or, you know, something like that versus like at ABC or NBC or CBS or whatever, is that you're actually actively choosing to watch that show or that movie. But with network TV, you just turn it on and leave it run in the background. You know, so it's like grandma is falling asleep to Stephen Colbert. Maybe she is. I don't know. Is that it simply wasn't enough to sustain an expensive TV production, and CBS understandably pulled the plug. On May 21st, The Late Show finally goes dark. Years after Stephen Colbert drove away many of us who don't see the world the way he sees it, and I'm glad to see him go. Rah! I got to see what the replies are to this. On X, they're going to be good. Craig Howard says, I remember when late night comedy shows were actually funny with Johnny Carson. Yeah, it's amazing. For years, Johnny Carson and Jay Leno, and even I think Conan O'Brien to a certain extent, could entertain people without getting hyper partisan. But it was a very different time. And I try to tell my kids about this, like back in my day, for the most part, most people more or less got along. Most people more or less agreed that they were Americans, and we had a difference of opinion of how, you know, what that meant exactly. But it didn't feel like Ireland where we're like at war with ourselves. And that's what it feels like now. And it's coming across in everything. It's like we've really got two different countries, and it's very, I can't even imagine what it's like to grow up with this, thinking this is normal. It's not normal. What we're seeing right now, I want you to know, as an old dog. What you're seeing right now, this hyper partisan bullshit, is not normal. This is not how it was for decades, as long as I can remember it. And then in the last, again, 10, 12 years, just everything has gone to shit. And the entertainment is a lot of the reason. I'm using finger quotes here. Entertainment and the talking heads on the news, and they've been stoking the fires and the hyper partisan flames here. And and at the end, we see what happens. People get hurt. People get killed. It's not good. This is not a good state for America to be in right now. I'm just saying. Aqua Fanatanya, I don't know, says only maggots are glad to see him go. Thank you for proving my point there, Aqua Quatado. Christopher Pasa says if you don't like him, don't watch him. That's simple. And enjoy listening to artists like White Trash Boy Kid Rock instead of Springsteen and Neil Young. P.S. Again, thank you for proving my point. If you think nobody should ever criticize politicians, you might want to move to China or North Korea. Wilson Cleveland says, hey, Stephen Colbert was fired because he called Trump out for extorting $16 million from Paramount to ensure Skydance was approved quickly. No, his ratings were shit, and he was costing them money. We're all glad to see him go, says Flint Savage. I am very surprised, though. I'm very surprised that USA Today is even running this piece, because it's safe now, I guess it's safe to criticize the left. It's actually encouraged to criticize the left now. For a long time, you were not allowed to, because they controlled everything. They controlled social media. They controlled the news. They control all of it. And apparently now you can just say, hey, yeah, I hate this shit, and I'm not watching it without being, quietly demonetized or kicked off the airwaves or whatever. FT says, you're right, although a little more honest self-awareness would be appreciated. Fox News is an entire network from the right dedicated to the smug us-them smearing that you rightly criticize Colbert's single show for doing for the left. That is actually true, from my point of view. But Fox is successful where Colbert was not, because the MAGA cult watched more TV compared to the woke cult. Is that true? I don't know if that's true. A comedy show versus a news network, but okay. Colbert was arguably more news than comedy, and Fox is arguably more entertainment than news. Yeah, I mean, it is hyper partisan, just all the way across the board. Like I said, I would love to see like Arsenio Hall come back, or I mean, I don't know. I miss that, but I think this era of television, the late night TV that we remember, it's over. It's been over for a long time. Podcasters have replaced these kinds of guys, and this is what's going to happen to Colbert. I mean, I don't know if anything's been announced or not, but he'll go to Netflix, he'll go to podcasts, he'll be fine. He'll be fine. Don't worry about him. He'll cry into his millions of dollars, guys. He'll be okay. So I'm going to wrap this up. Please subscribe. We'll talk later.